He's Rob Mack, the actor, comedian, part owner of Wrexham, always sunny in Philadelphia, always sunny disposition, and a celebrity who doesn't lie. Because yesterday I said, Rob, do you want to join us on the show? And he goes, I can't today, but I'll join you tomorrow. You look like a celebrity, though.
Thank you. I think it's the sunglasses.
Yes, it is. Yes.
I'll take off now.
Yes, it is. Okay, explain the rebrand here of you go from Rob McElhenney to Rob Mack, and how much thought went behind this, if you want to pull that microphone up a little bit to you. So, how much thought goes into what I guess is a rebrand?
A tremendous amount of thought over the last 20 years. But I think the thing that really put it over the edge was, I'm very proud of my name. I'm proud of my heritage. I'm proud of my family. And I never wanted to change my name. And I was asked many times coming into the entertainment business just because there's so many syllables and it's not quite as sticky. And I always said no for that reason. And then I did a full family tree earlier this year and found out that our name has changed 7 or 8 times over the last 100 years, including when we first came over, my great-great-grandfather. They just changed his name.
Was it O. McElhenney?
It was in the vein. There was an O at one point. It was McElhenney. It was McCulloughney at some point. And I thought, it's kind of amazing that someone put a stamp on McElhenney and said, yeah, that's the easy one. Go with that. Go with that.
What did your wife say?
Well, she goes by Caitlin Olsen. So she's okay with it. I called my father, of course, had a very long conversation with him. His first question was, he said, son, I love you. I will support you in what you want to do. Are you having a midlife crisis? I said, well, yes. He said, just buy a car. But no, he said, it was really important to me because of my grandfather. My grandfather and my grandmother, who were very close, the patriarch and matriarch of our family. And I said, what do you think Gran and Pop would think? And he said, well, Pop would have loved that if some government official decided to change your name, that you changed it back to something that you wanted.
Okay. But you know what's going to happen? This is like X with Twitter, that they have to say X, formerly known as Twitter. It's Rob Mack, formerly known as Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, it's easier than Prince, right? Because what was that? He was just a symbol.
A symbol?
Yeah. At the end of the day, already, it's only been a couple of weeks, and it's already easier. You walk into a room, just right here, the Edgewood Hotel, they said, name, sir? I said, Rob Mack. And they didn't say, excuse me? They said, oh, okay. I said, R-O-B-M-A-C. And that was it.
So you have all this free time of Rob Mack, and then you don't have the old Haney.
That's right.
So once again,
That's right.
And you're signing things, so it's easier to sign Rob Mack here at the...
My signature was just sort of R-M and then a bunch of squiggly lines, so I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference, but I can say that it's also an opportunity to shed one's skin and try something new. I've always liked change, and I've always been a terrible golfer. So I feel like Rob McElhenney was a terrible golfer, but Rob Mack is going to make a statement this year.
Is Ryan Reynolds going to change his last name?
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's if your last name is Reynolds or Patrick, you don't know. You don't really understand what it's like. And again, it's not that big of a deal. There's so much going on in the world. Who really cares? But the amount of time one has to spend negotiating and navigating the spelling or pronunciation of one's name, especially as our business expands into Latin America and in other parts of the world, I just figured it'd be easier for everybody else to say Mac.
Wrexham, you and Ryan done a great job there. Congratulations on promotion.
Thank you.
How close was this to not happening?
Never not. You mean the promotion or the whole project?
The whole project.
Oh no, it was going to happen. In fact, I went back and I found the original email that I sent to him, where I laid out the idea and what I wanted to do. And originally, I was going to do it on my own and ask Ryan if he wanted to be a sponsor. Aviation Gin is the front of kit sponsor. The more I thought about it, the more I realized, wow, he's such an entrepreneur. He's globally famous. Whatever he touches seems to turn to gold. If I could potentially include him as a partner, that this could take this thing to the stratosphere. And I remember asking my wife about it, and I said, Caitlin, what do you think about me asking Ryan to be a full partner on this? And she said, I don't know. I guess it depends on whether your ego can take sharing the screen with Ryan Reynolds.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, that's a good point. It's a good point.
But I would, they don't want posers over there. And we've seen so many U.S. billionaires, they want to invest in the Premier League. And, there's that pushback reaction. how much of that did you get from Wrexham that, wait a minute, what do you guys know about soccer and what are you going to do?
That's right, and that's why we were honest from the very beginning, and we went in with our hearts on our sleeves and said, we don't know anything about football. And I didn't say soccer, I said football. Now, for the sake of this conversation, it will be easier to call it soccer, and so I'll do so, but I just want to put an asterisk on that. We just went in and said, we don't know anything about soccer.
Wait, have you become a soccer snob?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, I become a soccer fan. I was not even a fan of the beautiful game up until 5 years ago, and now I'm horrifically addicted. Yeah.
But if you could say success for Wrexham or success for Always Sunny.
Well, you mean if I had a time machine? Because it's hard to, I mean, I would need a DeLorean to go back. But you mean from this point forward?
Yeah.
Sunny's had a great run. We're in season 17. We just debuted season 17 over 20 years. Yeah, that's wild.
A round of applause for that. Yeah.
Well, I remember meeting you probably about a decade ago, and I said something to you, a phrase, and I remember you saying, wow, that is both inspiring and crushing. And that phrase was, I grew up watching you.
Yeah.
And now I hear a lot of people say that to me. Guys in their 30s and women in their mid-30s saying, I grew up watching you.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, you described it perfectly. It is really inspiring and sweet to hear, and it's crushing because it means you're so old.
Yeah, you do feel that. Like, you get to a certain point where somebody said, and the legendary, you can't be legendary when you're in your 20s.
Yes.
You got to be in your 60s to become legendary. But
Well,
it's a good
Danny,
problem.
I'll give you a great example. Danny DeVito turns down Lifetime Achievement Awards all the time. And I asked him, this was like maybe 5 years ago, hey, why do you keep turning these things down? They seem like great honors. And he said, because it's basically a ticket to the to the funeral home. They're saying, hey, great, that was a great career, bye. And
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I truly, if they gave me a Lifetime Sports Emmy, like I wouldn't want to do it because there's still part of me that's like very competitive. Mm-hmm. I mean, I expect a Lifetime Sports Emmy.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
Yes.
Sort
of an honor.
And maybe it could be a posthumous. Like I'm fine with that. But how do you sell Danny DeVito on this concept?
Well, we had the luxury of already having shot one season of the show without him. Now, nobody watched it, but we had 7 episodes of that series. And I remember going to his house because we needed to bring on somebody that had a little weight, somebody that was famous so that we could use it for marketing. And Danny's name came up, and he just seemed like a perfect fit. So I remember I went over to his house and rang the doorbell, and his daughter, who at the time was probably 19 or 20 years old, she answers the door. And she says, oh, hi, my name's Lucy. I just want to tell you I'm such a massive fan of your show. And I knew from that point forward, I walked in through the threshold and was like, we got this guy. We got this guy.
Was there an episode that maybe you shouldn't have aired?
Oh, yeah. There's episodes that got pulled from the air that are no longer in circulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you casually discuss those?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm happy to discuss them. I mean, it's satire. So one of the benefits of satire is that you get to sort of wield a very sharp look at culture, and that's what we do. Very specifically, Western culture, and very specifically the hypocrisy of Western culture across the political and economic divides. And in doing so, you're going to push the boundaries of what is considered good taste at any given moment. And so at the time when you're making something and something airs, it speaks to its time. But when something then goes years and years and years, the times change, and it doesn't necessarily age. And I always feel like, well, look, that's where I was at the time. That's where the show was at the time. I feel like erasing that as if it didn't exist suggests that it never happened. And I feel like that's a scary way to look at the present and the future.
How good a golfer are you?
Oh, terrible.
Okay. Like
Well-
how bad? Are you Barkley bad?
Oh, I'm worse than Barkley. Where I was, I can tell you how I feel versus what the reality is. I feel like I'm a great golfer, and that's part of the problem. So there's no reality.
You look like you can play.
Thank you. Yeah, I am not an athlete, not in any way. I have no. I mean, that's why I went into the arts. All my friends were playing sports. I went to an all-boys Catholic school, and the girls' schools needed boys for their plays. And I was like, well, I'm getting cut from every team. I might as well go and meet a bunch of girls and get into the plays.
Right. You know what? Given looking back, I should have been in choir and maybe band and done, plays.
Yeah. It worked out pretty
Theater,
well.
I
It
should
worked
say,
out pretty well.
theater.
But as far as these events go, it's really fun to test your mettle against professional athletes because it's really golf. The sport itself is so humbling, and it is a game that takes practice. And it's so look. Ultimately, it's so stupid. You're just trying to get a little ball into a hole 400 yards away. So why do people love it? Why do people become so addicted to it, especially high-achieving people? And I think it's just the meditative practice of recognizing how silly something is, but the more work you put into it, hopefully, the better you get. And I think there's just something very profound about that.
Eagles fan playing with Aaron Rodgers today, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, how's that going to go?
Well, I know we won the Super Bowl, and when I say we, I mean the Philadelphia Eagles, not me. I think it's going to go great. I've never met Aaron aside from shaking hands with him. So we'll see how his game is. I hear he's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, my score last year was -36. Now anybody who watches golf sees -36 and says, "Wow, that's a great score."
Yeah.
But they're not realizing that it's a different. It's a stable
scoring system.
The scoring system is a little bit different.
Yeah.
-36 means there was a lot of double bogeys out there. So the way I'm looking at it is, I don't need to beat Aaron Rodgers. I don't need to beat Charles Barkley. I just need to beat Rob McElhenney, who was -36. So if I can beat if Rob Mack can beat Rob McElhenney, then I'll feel good.
Is that the first third-person use of your name?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be insufferable. Trust me. I'm going to be insufferable. No, I recognize how silly and ridiculous it is. And so even this morning I saw on the X account, not the Twitter account, that you guys announced me as Rob McElhenney, and I laughed and thought, well, of course they did. Like, it's going to be a process, and still at the end of the day, there are bigger things going on in the world. Who really cares? And I just laughed and figured this will be about the next
But if I
year.
say Rob Mack, then people won't know that. But
yeah, that's right.
But then you got to go Rob
Formerly known
McElhenney,
as AKA.
Always Sunny, Wrexham, and then they get that.
Luckily, my character's name on the thing I'm most known for is Mac, so that's very, very helpful. My grandfather's nickname was Mac. Everybody called him Mac. Up until all through high school, I was known as Mac. And then I stopped going by that because my character is such a horrific human on our show that I didn't want to go by that as a nickname. But now I'm taking it.
But how much fun is it to play a bad guy?
The best. It's the best.
Like, could you envision being like Jim Parsons with Big Bang Theory, where everything is just just kind of floating along?
Yeah, I don't know. I gravitate
a good person.
A good person. Yeah, that's so boring. In fact, I'm developing two separate shows right now, both completely different from Sunny. Not very much, not different from tonally from Welcome to Wrexham, just insofar as they're more dramatic. Both are crime dramas. One I play the good guy, and one I play the bad guy. So it's really fun to sit down and think of myself in and just sort of bifurcate the way I process the world.
He's throwing out some big words today.
Well, I'm not doing it on purpose. They just sort of come to me. I told you, Dan. I'm inside. This is insufferable. Can I curse on this?
What happened to you?
Am I allowed to curse?
Why do you need to curse?
Well, because
You can't.
Can I?
F word. You can't F word.
But I sound like a dickhead. Can I say that? Did I just get? Oh yeah. Okay. I can say it once. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not trying, Dan.
But Ryan Reynolds can get away with this.
Yeah. He's such a nice guy.
Because he didn't change his name.
That's right.
Yeah,
Ryan can get away with pretty much anything because he's such a genuinely kind, nice person. But also, he's just so
I think he could be a
charming.
good actor, too.
He's a pretty good actor.
Pretty good actor.
He's a pretty good actor.
Does your wife say he's hot?
She would say he is very attractive. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hot. The word hot, I would say she saves that.
But you don't say...
Jalen Hurts.
Hot? Okay.
Tom Hardy, the actor. I believe. Oh, look at this little guy.
I know.
We get a camera on him. We got a little chipmunk.
We have a little chipmunk.
Did somebody just say bifurcate? I came running out. What?
Okay, we've established that Ryan is hot.
Yeah, well, Ryan's also 48 years old. I think it's the young professional athletes that the ladies are going for these days. Some of the actors, sure.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've did we accomplish anything here?
I feel like we've exhausted the audience's desire to see me or hear me on the show. What do you think?
I don't know. Do you think that he's exhausted his
My welcome.
No, he always
Yeah.
crushes it.
Yes.
I think Rob Mack is welcome back anytime.
Oh.
Rob McElhenney, that's
He's
the bad.
gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Nobody likes him.
Well, see, right there, we bifurcated.
There it is.
Thank you for stopping.
Thank you. I really. I'm a
great
big
to see
fan, and you know what? I grew up watching you from the time I was a little kid up all the way up until now.
That's inspiring and crushing.
I said it to you, and I meant it at the time, and I still mean it. And it's been you have been a massive inspiration for me, and for the way that we approach everything. And I truly mean it.
Well, when I went and met with you and I was pitching an idea and you were very enthusiastic. I mean, it obviously didn't work out.
Because you took it somewhere else. Just
Did
to
I?
be clear, he had the choice. He took it somewhere else. That. We'll do that in a different episode.
Wow.
I don't hold it against you. I don't hold a grudge. Rob McElhenney holds grudges. Rob Mack is not holding a grudge.
Dickhead. Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
We'll take a break. Fritzy's going to call in. We'll talk about Celebrity Family Feud after this.